Okay, welcome to exercise number 4. This exercise is a suitability analysis. We use some RStudio, but mainly ArcGIS Pro and a lot of its spatial analyst functionality to essentially inform a high voltage transmission line project. The idea is that you know, Southern California Edison um, is planning a renewable transmission project. This is kind of the premise of the exercise. And they have this wind farm that they're developing, and they need to, uh, they've hired you as a consultant to help them identify an alignment scenario for the transmission line that will connect the solar array, the power generated from that, to a nearby uh, electric substation to a destination substation that connects it to the broader electrical grid. So you have to use GIS data, a fair number of raw data, GIS layers will be made available to you and you'll use those to essentially identify some optimal path between the two locations. Um, so yeah, this is an interesting exercise. All the students will be using the same study area, but uh, it'll be up to you, your discretion to choose which data layers you want to use to inform kind of the optimal path scenarios. And yeah, so there are kind of a fair number of steps to this exercise, but I think you'll find it useful and it can be applied to a lot of different planning projects. So anyway, we begin as we have with many of the previous projects by creating a new uh, R project. So we'll open up RStudio and create a new R project. But this time we're just using RStudio to download some GIS data. So let me go over to RStudio and create a new project. Um, New project and create a new directory as well. And I'm going to name it exercise 4, create a project. And then in here, I'm going to create 2 folders in our working directory, one called layers. It's important that you have this layers directory because that's what the code will be looking for to download your data. And then also a scripts directory for our R code. In the scripts directory, I'm going to start by creating a new R script, name it exercise 4, and that will open up our coding, and then return back to our instructions. And what this does is activates the R packages that we need for this project. And it's likely we only need 2 of them, and it's likely they're already installed, the dplyr and the tidyverse. Um, if you do need to install the packages first, you can uncomment that first line and run the first line, but more than likely you can just run these first few lines to activate the packages that are already installed. Going back to the instructions, the next step is to uh, copy this code, and that will download some GIS layers from our online repository and place them into your layers folder. And what we'll have in there once it's done, we should see a file geodatabase, the suitability underscore layers.gdb file. And also for each of the layers, there is a .lyrx file. That's an ArcGIS Pro layer file that has some default symbology information. So when we bring it into ArcGIS Pro, it has a default symbology. So I copied that code. I'm going to bring it back into ArcGIS Pro and paste it here and run this. and it will download it. Takes a little bit. It's a 10 megabyte or so file. And if you go to your working directory under the layers folder, you should see that file geodatabase and all of the layer files. And that's all we needed to do for step 1.